Welcome back to our channel, World of Coins. As you knew that old is gold, but these rare $quarter coins that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them because it could make you a millionaire overnight. You're lucky if you have one of these, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Top 1. Today, we have something truly exciting for all you enthusiasts out there. If you're a fan of rare coins, or even if you just appreciate a little history mixed with a touch of treasure hunting, you're in for a treat. We're diving into one of the most iconic and valuable coins in U.S. history, the United States $quarter from 1776 to 1976. This isn't just any old coin, it's a piece of American heritage, and you might be surprised at just how much it's worth today. Now, when we say 1776 to 1976, you might be wondering, what makes this particular quarter so special? Well, the year 1976 marked the bicentennial of the United States, and the U.S. Mint released a special quarter to commemorate 200 years of independence. The 1776 to 1976 quarter wasn't just your average coin, it was a symbol of patriotism, history, and pride. The design was meant to reflect both the country's past and its bright future, and today, it holds a place of honor in coin collections worldwide. But, here's the thing, while these coins were produced in large numbers, not all of them are created equal. There are a few things that can make this coin extremely rare and, as a result, incredibly valuable. Let's dive into what sets apart the special ones from the rest. First, let's talk about the design. The front of the quarter features the famous image of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan, just like the standard Washington quarter. However, for the 1976 bicentennial, the reverse side of the coin was totally revamped. Instead of the traditional eagle, you'll find a depiction of the Liberty Bell, with the moon in the background. It's a beautiful tribute to the country's freedom and its pivotal moment in history. The design was created by artist Jack Ahr, and it was meant to celebrate the spirit of the Revolution and America's independence. Now, while many of these bicentennial quarters were released into circulation, there's a big difference between those that are common and those that are rare. The value of these coins primarily depends on two factors: condition and minting errors. If you're lucky enough to find one of these coins in uncirculated condition, meaning it's never been used in a transaction and has no wear or tarnish, it could be worth much more than you'd expect. Most of these quarters are in varying degrees of worn condition because they were used for decades in everyday transactions. A quarter that has stayed pristine is a treasure, as it's rare to find one that hasn't been affected by circulation, but even more exciting are the minting errors. Yes, that's right. Some 1776 to 1976 bicentennial quarters have errors that can make them incredibly valuable. These include things like misprints, off-center strikes, or double die errors, where the design appears more than once, making the details blurred or doubled. Error coins like these are highly coveted by collectors because they are unique, one-of-a-kind pieces that stand out from the regular coins. Even a small mistake can send the price of a coin soaring. Another factor that can make these coins valuable is the special editions. There were also certain proof versions of the 1776 to 1976 quarter released, which were made with a special minting process to ensure a higher quality finish. These proof coins are highly polished and have a mirror-like finish, making them stunning to look at, and far more valuable than the average circulated coin. So, what exactly can these quarters be worth? Well, if you happen to have one of these coins in perfect, uncirculated condition or one with a rare minting error, it could be worth a whole lot more than you think. In fact, depending on the rarity and condition, some of these coins can fetch $75,000, yes, you heard that right, $75,000 for a single quarter. So, if you're out there sifting through your coin collection or you come across one of these quarters, make sure to take a second look. It could be worth more than just pocket change. So, next time you spot a 1776 to 1976 bicentennial quarter, don't just toss it aside. Take a good look at its condition, and see if you've got one of the rare ones. Top 2, we have something truly special to discuss, the 1965 United States $quarter. This coin may look like just another quarter at first glance, but trust me, it has a story to tell and a value that might surprise you. The 1965 quarter is part of a critical period in U.S. coin history. In the 1960s, the United States was experiencing some significant changes. Economic issues were on the rise, and one of the biggest changes came with the Coinage Act of 1965. This act removed silver from most circulating U.S. coins, including the quarter. Prior to 1965, quarters were made of 90% silver, but from 1965 onward, they were struck using a copper-nickel composition, making the 1965 quarter stand out in more ways than one. Now, you might be asking, what makes this particular quarter so special? Well, let's break it down. First, it's important to understand that while these quarters were minted in large numbers, condition and mint errors are what separate the valuable ones from the common ones. The typical 1965 quarter, which was used in daily circulation, isn't worth much. However, the key to understanding the real value lies in those few coins that have been preserved in pristine, uncirculated condition. These coins have been kept in perfect shape, showing little to no wear or damage from circulation. Since most of the 1965 quarters were used for transactions, finding one that hasn't been handled much or left with damage is already rare, and collectors love these uncirculated versions. The less wear and tear, the more valuable the coin becomes, but what really makes some of these quarters worth their weight in gold are the mint errors. Coin collectors go wild for error coins, as they are unique, and a small mistake in the minting process can send the value of a coin skyrocketing. The 1965 quarter isn't an exception. There are some key minting errors that make certain 1965 quarters incredibly valuable, including double die errors. This happens when a coin is struck twice, causing a doubling effect on certain elements of the design. You might notice that the lettering or the date is slightly blurred or appears twice, something that makes the coin stand out and incredibly sought after by collectors. Off-center strikes. Another exciting error is when a coin is struck slightly off-center, creating a noticeable shift in the design. It might look a little misaligned, and that's exactly what makes it a rare find. A small off-center strike can increase the value of the coin significantly. Clipped planchet errors. This occurs when a coin is struck using a metal planchet, the blank coin, that's slightly out of shape. If you have a quarter from 1965 that's missing part of its edge, then you could have a highly valuable coin on your hands. So, why are these errors such a big deal? Well, the minting process for coins is incredibly precise, so any mistake is unusual, and when that mistake is rare enough, it makes the coin even more desirable to collectors. Error coins like these are extremely hard to find, and when they do pop up, their value skyrockets. Now, I know you're eager to find out how much a 1965 quarter could really be worth if it's in top condition or features one of these rare minting errors. Well, get ready, because this will blow your mind. If you've got one of these error coins, whether it's a double die, an off-center strike, or a clipped planchet, you could be holding onto a coin that's worth as much as $70,000. Yes, you heard that right, $70,000. So, if you've got a 1965 quarter sitting in your collection or come across one at a local market or coin show, make sure to give it a closer look. You might just have a hidden treasure that's worth far more than its face value. Coin collecting is an exciting hobby, but it's also a fantastic way to invest in a piece of history. If you're lucky enough to find a rare coin, it's not just about owning a valuable item, it's about preserving a piece of the past for future generations to admire. So, next time you find a 1965 quarter, don't just toss it aside. Take a moment to examine it carefully. Who knows? You might just have a rare and valuable coin that could be worth thousands of dollars. Top 4, we're diving into a coin that might surprise you with its rarity and potential worth, the 1980 United States quarter dollar. You might think, 1980? That's not exactly an old coin, but trust me, there's more to this quarter than meets the eye. Stick with us because by the end of this video, you'll understand why this coin could be worth much more than its face value. The 1980 quarter may seem like just another piece of currency from the 80s, but it marks an important point in U.S. coinage. By this time, the U.S. had fully transitioned to the copper-nickel composition for most of its circulating coins, including the quarter. The coin features the well-known design of George Washington on the front, a design that's been in place since 1932. On the reverse, you'll see the classic eagle, symbolizing the strength and resilience of the United States. Now, you might be wondering, what makes the 1980 quarter so special? After all, it was minted in relatively large quantities, and it was in circulation for many years. While most of the coins from this year are common and not worth much, there are certain conditions and unique features that can make some 1980 quarters incredibly valuable. Let's talk about condition first. The majority of 1980 quarters were used in everyday transactions, which means they've probably seen some wear and tear. A typical 1980 quarter, unless it's in pristine condition, won't fetch much more than face value. However, if you happen to find one in uncirculated condition, meaning it looks as though it's just come from the mint, with no signs of wear, tarnishing, or damage, then you've got yourself a rare find. Coins like this, which have been preserved perfectly over the years, are highly sought after by collectors, but here's the real kicker: the true value of the 1980 quarter comes from minting errors. And when it comes to error coins, collectors get extremely excited because these are the coins that stand out and are highly prized. The 1980 quarter, like many other coins, has some errors that can make it far more valuable than you might expect. One of the most notable errors in the 1980 quarter is the double die obverse. This occurs when the coin is struck twice, leading to a doubling effect on certain parts of the design, like the date or the lettering. If you come across a 1980 quarter with a noticeable doubling effect, you could be looking at a rare error coin that's worth much more than a regular quarter. Another error that collectors look for is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not properly aligned during the minting process, causing the design to be off-center. A 1980 quarter with this kind of error can be quite valuable, especially if the misalignment is significant enough to make the coin stand out. And don't forget about the clipped planchet error. This is when the metal blank used to strike the coin is misshapen or cut incorrectly, causing part of the coin to be missing. A 1980 quarter with a clipped edge is a real find and could make any collector's heart skip a beat. So, what are we talking about when it comes to the value of these rare 1980 quarters? Well, if you've got one of these in uncirculated condition, or better yet, one with a minting error, you could be sitting on a goldmine. Some of these rare quarters are worth far more than you might think. In fact, a 1980 quarter with a significant minting error could fetch as much as $63,000. Yes, you heard that right, $63,000 for a single quarter. It's incredible how much a coin that was once part of everyday life could be worth today. So, next time you're looking through your coin collection or checking out your pocket change, make sure you give that 1980 quarter a closer look. Who knows, you might just have a rare and valuable treasure hiding in plain sight. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just getting started, finding a rare coin like this is always a thrilling experience. If you've got a 1980 quarter in your collection, take the time to examine it carefully. Look for those minting errors or check its condition. It could be worth far more than you ever expected. Top 5, we're going to explore a coin that you may not expect to be worth a fortune, but trust me, it's packed with potential. Let's talk about the 1981 United States quarter dollar. At first glance, this coin might seem like just another piece of change, but as you dive deeper into the world of coin collecting, you'll see why it's much more than that. Stick around because we're about to uncover some fascinating details that could make this quarter worth a lot more than you think. Let's set the scene. The year is 1981. The US economy was experiencing a lot of changes, and so was the minting of coins. By this time, the US had moved away from using silver in most coins, and quarters were being struck with a copper-nickel composition. The classic George Washington design was still in place, and that beautiful eagle on the reverse side continued to represent the strength and resilience of the nation. It was a standard-issue coin, produced in large numbers, and you probably wouldn't think twice about spending one at the store. But here's where things get interesting. Although the 1981 quarter was circulated widely, its rarity and the condition of the coin play a massive role in determining its true value. Like any coin, those that have been handled the most often show signs of wear. The 1981 quarters that have been through years of circulation are likely to be scratched, faded, or worn down. But don't be too quick to dismiss that quarter you just found in your pocket change. The key to the value of the 1981 quarter lies in finding one that's been kept in mint condition, uncirculated, looking as though it's fresh from the US Mint. If you happen to come across one that's remained in near perfect condition, it's already rare, and collectors will definitely be interested. But that's not all, there's more to the story. Now, let's talk about minting errors. As a coin collector, you know that error coins can make all the difference when it comes to value. And believe it or not, the 1981 quarter has its share of errors that can turn a common coin into something quite valuable. So, let's take a closer look at a few of the errors you should keep an eye out for. One of the most exciting errors in the 1981 quarter is the double die obverse. This happens when the coin is struck more than once, and it results in a doubling effect on the date or lettering. Imagine seeing the date, 1981, with a slight blur or double impression. It's a minting mistake, but it's a mistake that collectors are willing to pay big money for. If you find one of these, hold on to it tight. Another error that makes the 1981 quarter special is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin isn't aligned properly during the minting process, which causes the design to shift and makes the image appear off-center. An off-center 1981 quarter is a rare find, and it's one that can attract collectors who are looking for something unique to add to their collection. And then there's the clipped planchet error. This occurs when the metal blank used to strike the coin is cut incorrectly, resulting in a part of the coin being missing or clipped. A 1981 quarter with a clipped edge is a fascinating error, and it's something that collectors find very desirable. But here's the million-dollar question. How much can you really get for a 1981 quarter with these errors or in pristine condition? You might be surprised. If you find a 1981 quarter that's in uncirculated condition, or even better, one with a rare error, it could be worth as much as $61,000, that's right, $61,000 for a single 1981 quarter. It's amazing to think that such a seemingly ordinary coin could be worth so much. So, next time you're digging through your coins, be sure to give that 1981 quarter a closer look. It could very well be hiding a rare feature that makes it incredibly valuable. If you're just getting into coin collecting or have been at it for years, remember that even the most unassuming coins can hold incredible value. Whether it's the perfect condition of a coin or a rare minting error, you never know when you'll stumble upon treasure. Top 6, we're talking about something that might surprise you. The 1971 United States quarter dollar. At first glance, it might seem like just another piece of change from the past, but in the world of numismatics, this coin has a lot more to offer than meets the eye. Stick with us, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why this particular quarter might be hiding some serious value. Let's take a step back in time to 1971, a year that was pivotal for the US economy and coinage. By this time, the US had already moved away from using silver in circulating coins, and quarters were made of copper nickel. The design, of course, was the classic George Washington on the front and the American eagle on the reverse. It was a time of change, and this coin represents a piece of US history from the early 1970s. But why, you might wonder, would this 1971 quarter be worth anything more than face value? Well, it all comes down to rarity, condition, and the potential for minting errors. Most 1971 quarters were produced in large quantities and were widely circulated. Over time, they've seen a lot of use, scratches, wear, and tear, making them common and not particularly valuable. But here's the catch: if you manage to find one that's in mint condition, or even better, one with a minting error, you could be holding on to something very special. Let's talk about mint condition first. A quarter from 1971 that's been kept in uncirculated, pristine condition is already rare. Coins that have been carefully stored away and kept free from damage are highly sought after by collectors. So, if you happen to find a 1971 quarter in perfect condition, no marks, no tarnish, just like it came fresh from the US Mint, you're looking at a coin that could be worth more than just 25 cents. But wait, there's more. Minting errors are where things get really interesting. As any seasoned coin collector knows, error coins are the real treasures of the numismatic world. These rare mistakes, made during the minting process, can make a coin far more valuable than one that was struck perfectly. So, what kind of errors should you be looking for in a 1971 quarter? First up, we have the double die obverse error. This occurs when a coin is struck more than once, resulting in a doubling effect on the design. The result? You might notice that the date or lettering on the coin appears blurry or doubled. If you spot a 1971 quarter with this error, you've got yourself a rare and highly valuable piece of US coinage. Next, there's the off-center strike. This happens when the coin isn't properly aligned during the minting process, which causes the design to be off-center. An off-center 1971 quarter might have part of the design cut off or shifted to one side. This error can make the coin stand out, and collectors love these misprints. If the off-center strike is noticeable, it could be worth much more than the standard quarter. Another error to keep an eye out for is the clipped planchet. This happens when the metal blank used to strike the coin is misshapen or cut incorrectly, causing part of the coin to be missing. A 1971 quarter with a clipped edge is rare and highly collectible, making it even more valuable. So, now that we know what to look for in terms of condition and errors, let's talk about how much this coin could actually be worth. A 1971 quarter in perfect condition or one with a rare minting error can fetch a serious price in today's market. Are you ready for the big reveal? A 1971 quarter with these characteristics could be worth as much as $69,000, that's right, $69,000 for a single quarter. It's incredible to think that a coin, which you might come across in your pocket change, could hold such immense value. So, if you find yourself with a 1971 quarter, take a closer look. Examine the details, check for minting errors, and you might just have a rare treasure in your hands. Coin collecting is all about knowing what to look for and understanding the history behind each piece. Whether you're a long-time collector or a beginner, it's always exciting to discover something unexpected. And who knows? Your next coin hunt could uncover a rare find worth thousands. Top 7, we're bringing you a coin that may not look like much at first, but trust me, it has a lot of potential. We're talking about the 1979 United States quarter dollar. This coin might seem ordinary, but there's a lot more to it than meets the eye. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll be amazed at how this seemingly simple coin could be worth so much. Let's rewind a bit and take a look at 1979, a year that was a part of the post-Vietnam, pre-Reagan era in the US. The country was still recovering from inflation, and the US Mint was focused on maintaining a steady production of coins. The 1979 quarter continued to feature George Washington on the obverse and the iconic eagle on the reverse. It was a time when quarters were still made with the familiar copper-nickel composition that we know today. So, why does a 1979 quarter deserve a second look? Well, here's where the excitement starts. Despite the fact that millions of these coins were minted, there are still some factors that make certain 1979 quarters highly collectible and valuable. The key lies in rarity, condition, and minting errors. Let's break it down. First, let's talk about the condition of the coin. If you have a 1979 quarter that's been stored well and has remained in mint condition, you're looking at a much rarer find than you might think. Most of these quarters were used in everyday transactions, which means that over time, they've accumulated scratches, scuffs, and general wear and tear. But if you happen to have a 1979 quarter that looks like it just came out of the US Mint, you've got yourself a collector's item. Coins in uncirculated condition are always in demand, and collectors are willing to pay a premium for coins that have been well preserved. But here's where things get even more exciting: minting errors. As any experienced collector knows, error coins are the holy grail of numismatics. And the 1979 quarter has a few errors that could turn it from a common coin into a small fortune. One of the most interesting errors to look out for in a 1979 quarter is the double die obverse. This happens when the coin is struck multiple times during the minting process, causing the date and lettering to appear doubled. If you look closely at the date or inscription on the front of the coin and notice a blurry or ghosted effect, you've got yourself a double die error, and that's something collectors are willing to pay big money for. These types of errors are rare and highly sought after, especially when they appear on a well-known coin like the 1979 quarter. Next, there's the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin is improperly aligned during the minting process, causing the design to shift and become off-center. An off-center 1979 quarter is a unique find and can add significant value to your collection. The more severe the misalignment, the more valuable the coin becomes, and then we have the clipped planchet error. This happens when the metal used to create the coin is incorrectly cut before being struck, resulting in a portion of the coin being missing or clipped. A 1979 quarter with a clipped edge is a rare and desirable find that can fetch a higher price from collectors looking for something unusual and unique. So, how much could a 1979 quarter be worth if you've got one with these features or in pristine condition? Well, you're in for a surprise. A 1979 quarter in uncirculated condition or one with a minting error could be worth as much as $60,000, that's right, $60,000 for a single quarter. It's mind-blowing to think that a coin which originally was worth just 25 cents could now be worth a small fortune. If you've got a 1979 quarter lying around in your collection or tucked away in your coin jar, it might just be the key to unlocking a major treasure. So, next time you're sorting through your coins or hunting for treasures at a garage sale, take a close look at any 1979 quarters you come across. With the right condition or a rare minting error, you could be holding on to a valuable collector's item that could make you thousands of dollars.